So welcome back to another edition of Walkin Talkin with Tim. And today's guest is Brian W. Jones, the president and CEO of the First National Bank of Elmer.
So that was a mouthful, Tim.
It was a mouthful.
Yeah.
So I might even have Brian explain why I had to say Brian W. Jones a little bit later. But to start off, a couple of things I learned as we were walking around, because you all know how this works. We go for a walk, I ask lots of questions, find out lots of information, and then we talk about it. So I know that Brian and I both grew up in National Park. I know that Brian and I both went to Gateway. I just found out that Brian was a wrestler, which I never did. I was a band geek. So I also know that Brian was a Boy Scout. And what did you make it to?
Star.
Star.
Yeah.
He was a star. I was in the Cub Scouts. I got thrown out for fighting. But Brian made it to Star. And Brian has a big passion with regard to the Boy Scouts, obviously, because if you follow him, which lots of us do, he has lots of positive messages, which is one of the reasons I reached out to Brian, because he's such a positive guy. So, but he's got a big passion for the Boy Scouts, and he's very involved, right?
Yep.
And my first question is going to be, tell us about that. What drives you and what excites you about being involved with the Boy Scouts?
Well, my family goes back 100 years in the Boy Scouts.
Holy cow.
Yeah, my Uncle Herb was my great uncle. He was involved in the 1920s, my father in the 30s, my brother in the 50s and 60s, and I was involved as a youth in the 60s and the 70s. Mm-hmm. And then when I became an adult, or so they say, right?
We're trying.
Our best effort. I decided to stay involved. So I've been involved for about 50 years now, and I've served a lot of different levels. I've been president of the Garden State Council, and it's just an organization that, believes in building character in individuals and leadership. And I think, as I grew up, it was my first introduction to how to lead people. And it was very valuable. And I just hope that, every eligible youth gets that opportunity.
So repeat that statement you said earlier about leadership, that quote.
Well, I think that, if service, is below you, then leadership's above you.
Exactly. So Brian's got some great information, some great insight just on purely being a leader. And obviously, one of the biggest is being a giver. So obviously, you got to give to get, no matter what you do in life, whether it's personal or professional, right?
Yep.
And that's kind of what the point you were making, right?
It is. And at the bank and in my life in general, we really believe in servant leadership. And, you have to try to make things a little better than you found them.
Yeah, exactly right. Leave it better than you found it. My dad told me that too. and if I didn't, he would dump all my drawers out of my dresser and say, "Do it again." So, yeah.
Well, I taught you how to fold things.
It sure did. So moving on. So you are involved in so many things. It's too many to even mention. One of the things that you mentioned as we were talking that I found kind of really interesting and kind of exciting is you are involved with the Franklin Institute.
Yes.
So what do you do over there? Because that's pretty cool.
Well, they have an executive leadership council, and I'm involved in that. What we try to do is just kind of give input from the communities that we serve, which is pretty broad for the Institute, and come up with ideas to support fundraising and support programs within the Institute. And it's great. They're great people. It's fantastic, and I'm really lucky to be involved.
Exactly right. And you also mentioned, the amount of years you're involved in stuff is crazy. 50 years in the Boy Scouts. You told me that you grew up in National Park and your family had a lot of interesting positions in Park as well. So tell us a little bit about that, because that's pretty interesting.
Well, my grandfather used to be mayor back in the 20s, and my Uncle Jim was the judge and my dad was president of the school board. Fortunately, all at different times. We might have taken over. But, I think that...
It's a small town.
Well, it is. 1 square mile, right?
I know.
1 square mile.
One crazy mile.
So, I think that leadership, that civic involvement was, something that was kind of inbred as I was growing up.
So, when you were growing up in National Park, you said did you tell me you went to Gateway?
Yes.
And you started Gateway after it opened, right?
I started Gateway in 7th grade.
In 7th grade?
Yes. So there wasn't a graduating class at Gateway that year.
See that? Now before that, you were going to what, Woodbury?
No, I went to National Park Elementary School.
No, high school.
I went to Gateway.
I know that. Where did everybody else go before Gateway?
Oh, they went to Woodbury.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, what happened was Woodbury had Woodbury and 4 sending districts.
Yeah.
And they started the regional school.
Right.
And everybody left, and Woodbury didn't think anybody was going to leave. And so they wound up just with Woodbury going there.
Yeah, because you live in Woodbury, right?
Well, now I do. I grew up in National Park, though, right?
I know.
Yeah.
See, I'm confusing him. I'm confusing myself now.
Well, this is a conversation. We can't be confused.
He's done so much stuff. If I've checked this man's LinkedIn profile out, Googled him. There's so much information about him. It's ridiculous. He's involved in so many organizations. He's on how many boards are you on? It has to be 15.
Oh,
come on!
You
now.
Exaggerate.
I don't think I'm exaggerating. I was reading.
It is a little fanatical. I have to admit that. I would never ask anybody to do what I do.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So banking for how many years?
I started in banking when I was 18 years old. My first job, I was a janitor. And I used to come to Woodbury, and I would polish the brass railings and the doors and the night depository, vacuum the floors, clean the toilets. That's how I got my start.
Exactly right. I mean, in fact, I think you told me that you screwed up once and you had to go back.
I screwed up the first day. The first day I was there, I vacuumed the CEO's office, and I left the vacuum in his office. So I got a call at home to come back into work. I got there, and the vacuum cord was all wound up, and the vacuum was 3 feet from the door where it went. But I had to come back and put it in that closet. And so I got taught a lesson my very first day.
Yeah, to make things right.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you learn, right?
Yep.
That's what it's all about. So tell everybody why you refer to yourself as Brian W. Jones. That was pretty important too.
Well, nobody knows me any other way, first of all. But when I was a kid, sometimes I bring work home from school. I was kind of proud of it. I give it to my dad. And he'd say, well, what is this? What are you giving me this for? And I said, well, I did well. I wanted to show it to you. He said, well, this isn't your work. I said, what do you mean it's not my work? So my name's on the top of it. And he said, nah, this is Brian Jones. Your name's Brian W. Jones. So after a while, I got, into my head. And so my middle name is William, and that was my dad's first name. So that's how that odd thing started.
So you told me also that you have a list that you send out positive quotes to every day. Is that correct?
I did. I invited you to get on the list too. All right.
I'm blowing them up right now because I'm throwing it out to everybody that hey, Brian's got this great list that he sends positive quotes out to. So, when we're finishing up here, I'll make him tell you how to get on that list, right?
Yeah. I send it out every weekday morning. Sometimes on the weekend, and it just tries to be. I just try to send something out that's important or uplifting. It's usually not tied to anything specific that happened that day.
Right.
But many times you get something back saying I needed that today, or
I know.
That was great, or what did that mean?
I see a lot of yours on LinkedIn. I see them pop up.
Well, they're the same ones.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Thank you.
But again, that's why I said, I noticed how positive you were, which is one of the things that drew me to you anyway. So you're always putting something positive up on LinkedIn. And what's better about that that you need to know about Brian is that he does it himself. So he doesn't have someone else doing his
I don't remember.
social
I don't
media.
remember telling you that.
I asked you that on the phone.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did. You told me that you did it yourself.
I do.
Because I do my own myself too,
Yeah.
because I believe that if I'm going to put this stuff out into the world, we call it content, we call it whatever you want. If we're going to put it out there, and if we're going to give ourselves to other people in the form of content, it should come from you, not from someone else making it up for
I
you.
look everyone up individually, and I take a screenshot and I save them, and
Yep.
sometimes it's not easy to find time to do it, but I do it.
It's important stuff. And well, that makes you who you are, that's what makes you such a great guy. So what do you think's next for you as far as, passion projects? Anything good coming up for you?
I really don't know. I kind of take things as they come. The latest involvement I have is with the Emmanuel Cancer Foundation, and it's a grassroots organization where we raise money for families and individuals that suffer from pediatric cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really nice because it's a great group of people,
Right.
and we don't have any red tape. We don't take any government funding.
Yeah.
So, that's something that, you can do something very small and have a very big result.
We're going to walk past their office on the way back,
Oh,
by the
cool.
way.
Right in Woodbury Heights, huh?
It's right here. Yeah. It's right around the corner from me. So, well, listen, that's a lot of information. We've been at this for a little while now. We don't want to run this too long because you guys, we can't keep your attention for that long, right? So to wrap this thing up, if anybody wants to get a hold of you or Elmer Bank, where do they go? What's the Elmer Bank website?
Well, it's easiest to just email me if you want to talk to me. bjones@elmerbank.com. And the website's www.elmerbank.com.
And there you go.
And there I am.
There you go. So that's how you get a hold of Elmer Bank. That's how you get a hold of Brian. That's how you get on the list.
The list.
You want to get on the list. I'm getting on the list. So listen, thanks for being on.
I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you. And we'll see you all next time. Keep watching, keep walking, and we'll see you next time on Walkin' and Talkin' with Tim.
See you guys.
And Brian, of course.
Thanks.